Greetings, my fellow YouTube gremlins. Today on Hammered Pair, we're going to be providing our first official class review for the channel, which I'm very excited about. Last November, myself and 8 other students donned our long-range LARP kit and our warm and fuzzy layers and made the trek down to Cool Acres Sporting Camp in Swainsboro, Georgia. The purpose? To learn how to shoot fools from super far. The course? Basic Precision Rifle, hosted by Precision Applications and with the head instructor Rob Shepard, also known as Shep. Shep's got an incredibly diverse background in law enforcement and the Marine Corps, including the highly demanding position of Marine Scout Sniper. I managed to piece together as much footage that I had gathered from the time when this channel was an entirely theoretical undertaking, so bear with me as we try and piece this together with duct tape and bubblegum. Because I'm a poor and don't own a long-range weapon, I opted to borrow one of Shep's personal rifles for the class, and he kindly obliged. Pictured here is the rifle, a Bergara Premier LE chambered in .308. The preferred round for most long-range shooting up to 1,000 yards. And to you 6'5" folks, I'm sorry, but you're a little late to the long-range party. At least for shooting people, that is. The scope used was a Night Force NX8 F1 432 by 50mm with the MOAR reticle. One of the best functioning pieces of glass I've ever used with an extremely intuitive manual operation. This still shows the clarity at 1,000 yards, with all visual haze being caused by fog from the British-esque weather we endured. The class was 3 days in total, with 1 day in the schoolhouse and 2 days on the range. Topics included rifle and bullet selection, scope selection, zeroing and operation of scopes, mil versus MOA calculations, focal plane differences, cold bore versus hot bore POA POI shifts, reticle ranging, and proper use of databooks. For those who don't know, a data book is a collection of data collected from multiple range sessions to understand your rifle's dope at different ranges and conditions, covering information from simple ranging all the way up to density, altitude, and barometric pressure. At long range, these conditions do matter. Law enforcement dope cards are subpoenaable documents, so keeping accurate data books and well-organized dope cards are essential to protecting yourself if you're a police officer. Now let's get into some caliber selection with Mr. Shepard.
It's more slippery in the air, has less drag, less resistance. Anything past that distance, the 175 is now faster than the 168. Okay, so I've had students against my recommendation run the 168, and I've had them go to shit at 800 or 900 yards. And I know it was the ammo and not something else, because if I think that's the problem. So, for instance, one guy, he was great at 800, raining. We hit 900, and all of a sudden I see an impact over here. Jesus Christ, send me another one. You know, it's just all over the place. Put your 800-yard dope on, go back to 800. Ding, 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 center. So somewhere past 800 yards, that bullet lost stability. It started to yaw, and then tumble, and they go all over the place. 175, never seen it happen. There's some 178s out there. Hornaday does both a boat tail hollow point and a tipped 178. I've been playing around in my main precision rifle, my main .308. I've been shooting for the past couple of years, I've been playing with the Berger 185 Juggernaut, and they're phenomenal. Federal actually loads that in an ammo now if you're not a hand loader, and that's a great bullet. Let's see, 308, low recoil, readily available, good penetration, good anti-personnel energy, wide selection of bullet weights. Doesn't tend to be finicky in relation to bullet twist rates and bullet weights. The first custom gun I had built in a 1 in 10 twist, the lightest ammo I ever tried to shoot out of it was 110 grain, and the heaviest was a 190. It shot all of them in an inch or better. Now the stuff that it liked, it put in one hole. But even when I got on the extreme ends, it still shot under an inch. Where I've seen, for instance, a 5.56 go from an inch to a pie plate just by switching bullet weight.
What's SWS?
Huh?
The acronym SWS do you have there?
Sniper Weapon System, SWS, yeah. The current record, I don't think this has been broken. For confirmed kill with the 7.62 by 51, the 308 was 1,360 rounds. 1,360 yards, excuse me. Sergeant Jim Gilliland of the U.S. Army, a real nice guy too. 300 Win Mag, good 1,500 yard round, anti-personnel. The bullets are heavier now. I said 190 to 200. When I was running mine, I was using a hand load with Berger 218s, and now there's 220s and 250s. I think the military load that the Marine Corps was using before they got rid of their snipers was a 250 grain load. Outstanding energy. No one ever said the 300 Win Mag don't smack some shit. Excellent penetration. Pretty manageable weapon system. Now, when I said 18 or more pounds when I wrote this, we weren't running suppressors back then when I wrote this, okay? It was very common to have a 15 to 18 pound rifle just for the weight. If you were gonna lay down all day or all weekend prone and shoot this thing, you wanted some weight on it, you know? Now with a suppressors and everything, you don't have to have all that weight. Suppressors are great at mitigating recoil. Less ammo and equipment can be carried if the ammo weighs more and the rifle weighs more. If we're talking about a field environment, we're going to be able to carry less stuff. Recoil and blast are stout if you're not running a suppressor.
So you're basically saying they got lighter because of the suppressor, not heavier.
Lighter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're great. It's a suppressor is just a big fucking muscle brake, really. It does wonders. When I was shooting my 300 Win Mag out to 2,000, excuse me, I was using a suppressor on it. Same one I use on my 308, Silencerco Omega. 338, so that was the big popular round. Now it's kind of died off, you know. I think a lot of folks were like me. I had a 338 for a while and it was a lot of fun. Goddamn, it was expensive. Bullet weights, typically the 250 and 300 range. Excellent long range energy and penetration. Man portable over reasonable distances. Muzzle blast and recoil must be compensated. I've never seen a 338 Lapua rifle that just ended in the end of the barrel. That it didn't have something on the end of the barrel. A brake, a comp, a suppressor. Rifle and ammo are expensive. That has now been broken, that record, not by a lot, but it has been broken. But at the time I wrote this, the record was 2 shots, 2 kills at 1.54 miles by Corporal George Craig Harrison of Her Majesty's Household Cavalry. If you can't figure out from that, he's English. But I still think this is the best one. It was a machine gun team. They were shooting at an armored vehicle that the commander was in. Him and his spotter spot the team. Boom. He was using an Accuracy International, AWM. Kills the gunner with 1 round. Okay. The A gunner's like, oh shit, Ahmed's dead. I'll jump on the gun. He jumps on the gun, and Craig Harrison says, "The fuck you will," or whatever the British version of "No, you don't, mate." He bolts a round up, and boom, kills that guy. Boop, boop. So pretty damn good. I still think that's the best one. The next one that broke this was with a 50. They were Canadians, and they fired, trying to remember now, they hit on the 3rd or 4th round. They were firing multiple times, that guy. I'm like, oh, this one's still better. The next one after that, it was a little longer.
Didn't somebody go through a wall on one of these incredible long shots?
Oh, you can. Yeah, with the big stuff, you definitely can.
I had a bullet drop at 1.5 miles.
What's that?
What's the bullet drop at 1.5 miles?
I had all this figured out. So I was actually on Fox and Friends, interviewed on Fox and Friends by Steve Ducey for this. I was getting ready for a sniper shoot up in Tennessee, and they called me like a day or 2 before about this. Now this had happened a couple years before, but it was just now getting outside the military and leaking out. And a producer or some aide or something for Fox and Friends contacted me and wanted to know if I would do a remote interview. So they're gonna send a car, pick me up, take me to a studio in Atlanta. So it's just me and a camera guy. And they're interviewing me from New York, I think, Fox and Friends. Yep. I figured all this shit out because I didn't want to get asked any fucking questions I didn't know, you know. But the cool thing was when I was talking to the girl on the phone, I used to run a website called Sniper's Paradise. And we'd been talking about this. And I figured out me or somebody figured out how long the bullet was in the air, the length of time. And then we figured out that the amount of time the bullet was in the air, a car at 60 miles an hour would go this far, a horse would go this far, a guy running or walking. And then we found, somebody figured out that, is it Battery Park in New York? Some fucking park. From the Statue of Liberty to Battery Park was almost that exact distance, you know. And I gave them all that. And then when I watched the interview, they used all of it. It was cool. They had a chart and they had it all drawn out, you know. But they were asking me about this. Well, one of the things when you shoot far enough that you have to take into account is the Coriolis effect. If y'all know what that is. So what the Coriolis effect is the bullet is in the air so fucking long that the earth is rotated while the bullet was in the air and it moved the target. That's Coriolis effect in a nutshell. So there's like everything in sniping and long range shooting, there's a math formula for it. And one of the first things you've got to do is you shoot an azimuth with your compass, because it depends. If the earth is rotating this way and I'm shooting exactly across it, I'm going to have a lot of deflection versus earth's rotating this way and I'm shooting this way or this way, right? So I know what the Coriolis effect is, and on any given day I can teach a class on everything about it except for the formula. That I have to sit down and study because I haven't done it in so fucking long. That was the one thing I didn't pull up, and Steve Ducey asked it. You know, isn't it true you have to compensate? And I was like, yeah, that's called the Coriolis effect. And I thought, don't ask me how to compensate for it, because I don't fucking know. Not right now, I don't know. Thankfully he did it, so I didn't look like too much of a dumbass. I used 7 Series, so 4-door, decent sized car. We were shooting 6.5 to the front seat. We had 2 shooters. One was using the Hornady 143s. The other one was using the 147s. They both shot, and we were looking at the deflection. And then for shits and grins, I put a target in the back seat. Okay, almost doubled the distance, and shot that rifle with 185s. I had half the deflection from the windshield to the back seat that the 6.5 Creedmoor had from the windshield to the front seat. Okay. 5.56, not a lot of energy, not good for long range engagements, doesn't buck the wind very well. That light bullet, wind pushes it all over the place. 5.56 tends to be very finicky about barrel twist rates and bullet weights when we're trying to get our best accuracy. We have to pay attention to what our twist rate is versus the bullet weight when we're trying to get the best accuracy. Not that it won't shoot it. My primary 12.5 gun is a 1-in-7 twist. My training ammo is 55 grain, which is lightweight shit. Why? Because it's cheap, right? I don't have a problem in a training environment. I'm not under stress and the target's sitting still. I don't have a problem ringing steel at 500 yards with that setup, okay? But it's not the most accurate that it could be. The carry ammo I use in it is a 70 grain Hornady TAC barrier penetrator is what I use. It's a solid copper 70 grain unit, which always cracks me up because you get everybody running around and they're trying to use limited penetration ammo. And I'm like, no, I use penetrator. You hide behind something, I'm still gonna get you, hopefully. I do have to pay attention to my back stuff if I shoot at someone.
Question for you.
What's that?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Some low-end ARs are good for 223, but not 5.56. Why is
That's been disproven.
Okay.
Yeah. Not low end, but older. Yeah. So a lot of the old Bushmasters and shit were 223. The difference, the 223s tend to have a shorter throat or lead. So that's the area in between the chamber to where the rifling starts, okay? 5.56 rounds, depending on the weight and everything, can be a little longer. So what could happen sometimes is you chamber a 5.56 round in some 223s and the bullet is into the rifling already before we fire it, which causes a spike in pressure when we fire it because that cork doesn't want to pop. It's letting pressure build up longer than it's supposed to before it overcomes the resistance and goes. Armalite did a test. They took a 223 chamber barrel, shot a myriad of Milsurp 5.56 ammo out of it, different weights. Never blew, it was tens of thousands of rounds. They had a few signs of excess pressure, flattened primers, ejector drag marks, stuff like that. Nothing that was dangerous. They didn't blow a casing, they didn't blow a rifle, they didn't do anything like that. But nowadays, unless you dig some old AR out of the closet, they're pretty much all 5.56. You got the 2.2, so why do we have 2.23 Wild then? So the reverse is if you shoot 2.23 in a 5.56, it's a little shorter, tends to be a little shorter. You can get what could be called an excessive jump from the casing to where it hits the rifling. We don't want it into the rifling, but we don't want a long jump either, okay? Which the only thing that does is it could adversely affect your accuracy. So 2.23 Wild, what it's supposed to do is split the difference in the chamber between, it's a shorter lead than 5.56, but longer than 2.23. So it's safer than 2.23, but more accurate than 5.56. I don't think it makes a difference.
You use. So we have the spread leg prone, what I like to call the good old Paris Island spread leg prone. Okay? You're going to be straight behind your rifle. Your legs are as far apart as is comfortable for you. Don't force them out there where you start to get cramps in your hips and stuff. You want them out there naturally, toes outboard, and just let your legs relax. These legs aren't doing anything. Okay? I'm not digging in with my heels. I'm on a flat surface. The only time I'm ever digging in, usually you're shooting on a slope. You're doing one of them things the Secret Service doesn't like to do. Get on a slope surface, right? And we got to dig in with our toes, keep from falling off, okay? And we're straight right behind the rifle, okay? Good position. I don't have a problem with it. It's the best position, I think, for recoil absorption and snapping right back on target, okay? Now, the variation of this is the cock leg prone. So what I'm going to do is take my strong side leg. I'm a righty, so I'm going to bring my right leg up just where it's comfortable. The left leg now kind of lays down. I usually just go down on my laces. Once I get my legs here, they're relaxed. Again, I'm not digging in. They're just relaxed. Now, what this does is kind of takes my body and rolls it a little. Gets some of my chest and diaphragm off the ground. So breathing won't affect me as much. Your heartbeat. So we get a thing, especially on a hard surface here, we get a heartbeat bounce, okay? Chest is down on a hard surface. Every time my heart beats, my chest vibrates. And you may not see it up close here, but if you're getting that, you'll see it tomorrow. You get out there around 1,000 yards and you'll see those crosshairs bounce, okay? By rolling over on the side a little bit, it alleviates that to some degree, okay? Now, if you notice, when I went into this position, I'm not really directly behind the rifle anymore. Now my body's kicked off to the support side. So if I'm a lefty, my body's going to angle back to the left a little bit. As you were, I'm a righty, so my body's angled back to the left a little bit. I like to try and get people to stay behind the rifle as much as possible. There are positions that we shoot where we lay almost dead sideways to the rifle for various reasons, okay? But out here, I want you to try and stay behind the rifle as much as possible because it controls recoil and it snaps me right back on target, okay? So crawl, walk, run, we're going to use these two positions here. Now, I honestly don't give a shit which one you use, okay? They have pros and cons for both. If you've never really done this very much, try both of them. Try one for a little bit, try the other one, okay? Okay, so I'm the shooter and I'm aiming straight down the range, right? Then, my spotter says, give me a minute of right wind, okay? That's where I was, and my spotter said, give me a minute right wind. I reach up to that knob on my 1/4 minute scope, and I roll that thing counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 minute, okay? And that's what I'm doing now, okay? Not really visible very well. we'll make it work. Okay. 100, 200, 300, 500. Okay? So do you see the difference in the adjustment from where we were to where we went? Okay? Because it's an angular measurement. Okay? That's why we get that. It's not, for some reason, a lot of people have in their head, I'm here, I adjust a minute to the right. And what they're thinking is we go, boom. No, that's not what we do. Unless I physically get up and move, that's not what happened. Okay?
Okay, now, finger on trigger. Yep. Now, I want you to relax your finger. I'm going to use your finger to pull the trigger. Don't help me. Don't hurt me. Okay? Just let me know when you're ready. Ready. Again. Ready. So you do have a little bit, it's not what I thought it was. When the rifle clicks, your eyes kind of do. So I thought that was you going, now. That's why one of the reasons I did that. Okay, so close your eyes. Okay.
On day 1, we ranged and walked our rifles at 600 yards, a relatively simple task after some great destruction and spotting from Shep. Day 2's goal was to hit targets ranging from 600 to 1,000 yards while also learning how to range unknown distance targets. We had some dense fog roll in during the morning hours, which ended up being to our benefit. Co-instructing the course with Shep was an ex-British specialist firearms officer. Think counterterrorism, counter-sniper type guy. 20 plus years experience doing some very, very high-risk missions for the United Kingdom. Very, very good guy. He was co-instructing the course with Shep. He took the opportunity to run us through some of the UK National Rifle Qualification drills during the fog, which is a qualification that the tea drinkers like to use to test individual skill on rifles at various ranges.
Within time. Yep. Stand by.
This particular drill consisted of a 10-inch target at 300 yards. From the standing position, you rush to your rifle in the seated position and must fire one round in under 7 seconds. You do this 3 times to get an average score.
Nice.
9.7. Stand by.
This, but they could really make you look like shit. They get you up on the stand and they go, Officer Kane, would you agree that a sniper is precise, meticulous? Okay, Exhibit 1, and that's a page of your fucking data book, and it's in crayon, right? And it's got shit all doodled all over it. And go, oh, Kane, you recognize this data book? Yes, sir, that's my data book. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm not seeing meticulous, concise. I think that's a coffee spill over here. I got so freaked out by it or meticulous about it. My handwriting is horrible. It's horrible. Now, your data book, the only person that has to understand your data book is you. I don't care what shorthand you use in there, that's it. You, if you work with somebody, a spotter, they need to be able to understand your data book. But with Leos, I go, that could be. So what I did is, my data book stayed in my pack when I was on the range shooting. I had a notebook, and I made copious notes. I got home that night, calmed down, sat at the kitchen table and translated everything over with a fine point permanent pen. Meticulous and concise, because my data book is normally not meticulous and concise. The other thing we had, when I was chief sniper at Marietta, every sniper had to turn in a target every month. You could shoot it during SWAT practice with everybody. You'd go off on your own to shoot it. I didn't care. The header, the paper, 8.5 by 11, was basically all the data that you would put on a page of your data book, and then you attach the target to the back of it that you shot. You could shoot a 3-shot group, shoot a 5-shot. It was a minimum of 3. I didn't care if you turned in a 20-shot group. Okay. We had one of our normal dopers that everybody at Marietta knew, and he was wanted for aggravated assault. Tried to kill a guy, shot a guy didn't die, aggravated assault. So we had a bolo, be on the lookout, right? One of my snipers was using that target as his training target. He turned it in, and I'm like, dude, you cannot fucking do this. He goes, why? And I said, he's wanted, right? So we find out he's at his mama's house over off Hunt Street. So we SWAT call out, we surround the place, snipers and everything. Legitimately so, you end up shooting him. They subpoena your training records 3 weeks before you shot him in real life. You shot him on paper, premeditated. It wasn't, but does it look bad? It looks really fucking bad. So what I did, like when I used to teach level 1 and level 2 out of Fulton County's range, the final day, I wanted a picture of a real guy. I used Pablo Escobar. Nobody gives a shit about Pablo Escobar, and he's been dead a long time. So no one's going to say shit, but that's the picture I used. Because I was going to use the picture of myself. Because I'm like, I'm not going to sue you. You know, and then I ended up using Pablo Escobar because it was easier. And he had a very cool mustache. A lot better than mine. Okay, so some of the stuff that we want to put in the data book, we want to ID the rifle and scope by make, model, serial number. ID the ammo by manufacturer, load, and lot number. Okay, if your ammo has a lot number. Some small boutique ammo companies don't have lot numbers because they meticulously load that ammo exactly the same every time. But if you have a lot number, you're going to record it. There's a round count. There's usually a note section in there. Good idea to record repairs, adjustments, modifications, anything like that. Okay? Some of the data that it will ask for: temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, altitude, density, altitude, or relative altitude. They're the same thing. Ask anybody in the aviation industry, they're all over that shit. That's where we got it from. They were doing it before we were doing it. Basically, density altitude, in a nutshell, okay, is, so normally we have to correct for all this. It's all math. Okay, the temperature is this, so we're going to adjust. Oh, but the barometric pressure says, so we're going to adjust. And we have to do multiple math. Or we go straight to density altitude. We do one formula, and it lumps everything together. So all density altitude is basically saying, this is the actual altitude, but the bullet thinks because of these variables, it's at this altitude, and we shoot. Okay? You got anybody in your family or friends that are pilots? Ask them if they know what density altitude is. Oh, yeah. There's actually some really good apps out there for density altitude that are related to pilots. I had one on my phone forever. It was a picture of a plane. Now, here's where I have a problem with the Storm Tactical data book. Not Storm Tactical, everybody's data book, okay, is this part right here. You'll have typical data book page, you'll have 10 shots across there. They'll have one box for light and one box for wind. So you're telling me that over the time it took me to fire 10 shots, the wind never changed. The light never changed. Okay? Light might not change, wind might not change. Chances are it did. Okay? Now, for light, you can be as descriptive as you want. That's all I put. Overcast, cloudy, sunny, partly sunny, depending on if you're a glass half full or glass half empty guy, right? Partly sunny, partly cloudy, I say the same thing. Well, whatever makes sense to you, in which direction the light is coming from using the clock method. They'll usually have a picture of a face of a clock, and you just put an arrow. So if the light was over there at 2 o'clock, I draw an arrow pointing back that way, okay? So here's a typical data book page, what it looks like, okay? This is, pretty sure that's a storm tactical page. Now some of them will have different shaped targets. One I had back when I was on the SWAT team, that was blank, and it actually came with a little, like a, what do they call that, protractor? Where you trace, yeah, template, where you trace them out. I don't care. I don't care what the shape is. Center. I'm always aiming for the center, so I don't care. So we're gonna fill this thing out, right? So location, whatever you want to put for location, as long as it makes sense to you, okay? This was Blakely, Georgia. I know that's Arena Training Facility, okay? So you could put Arena, ATF, Blakely, Georgia, I don't care. Date, however you like to write your date out, however you like to write your time, temperature, physical altitude. So far, all this shit you can get off your phone. If you got a signal, boom, you got this shit.
All right, so quick overview and AAR of the class. I'm going to talk about, who this class was for, basic precision rifle. So target audience is going to be your new long range and PRS shooters. Okay, guys who just want to get into the sport or have never taken their rifles out past 400 or 500 yards. They want to be able to learn and figure out dope and ranging and all the technical skills that come from or that are required for long range precision shooting. This is going to be a great starting point. It's great for dialing in weapons. So if you buy a new rifle and a new scope and you've set it up, you've got everything leveled, your scope mounted properly, and you want to go and you want to be able to punch out to 1,000 rounds, especially in the Southeast, there's very few long range ranges. So taking a class is a good way to get it in on a range that otherwise might be off limits. And figuring out your weapon through a class is always my preferred way of doing it, because I have a professional there who can always tell me, hey, you're doing this wrong, you need to adjust this, this is your dope at this range, etc., etc. Okay? It's great for learning your dope and getting your data book built. Going back to my previous statement about long range shooting, it's really hard for people in the Southeast to be able to punch out to 1,000 yards. So it's very uncommon for Southerners to be able to get consistent data book logs outside of 500 yards. So this is a great class for that. It's also great for learning sniper spotter communication. In many of the videos you hear Shep saying spotter ready after I say shooter ready. Well, that's intentional. I'm communicating with my spotter, letting him know that, hey, I'm ready to shoot when you are ready to verify shot or dirt kick up from my shot, as well as trace. So overall, I give this class 8 out of 10 pairs. If you guys have not taken a long range precision class yet and you're looking to get into that arena, I would highly recommend it. When you buy your weapons, please do it from a good company and get good glass. And most importantly, buy good ammunition. I was running 175 grain gold medal match rounds and worked fine. No issues with the ammo at all from Federal. But if you're buying shitty ball ammo or mil-spec M80 and you're expecting to be able to get consistent hits from 700 to 1,000 yards, you're going to have some serious variabilities in accuracy. There's 2 types of precision rifle classes. There's learning the shot and earning the shot. Learning the shot is learning the ins and outs of your weapon, ranging, doping, all the fun, cool stuff where we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and just shoot my rifle, hit a target out to 1,000 yards. It's awesome. That is really where this class falls into, learning the shot.
Second type of class is earning the shot. This is where your sniper classes you are going to come in, where you're learning sniper fieldcraft, bushcraft, hiking long distances, hiking and shooting from high angles to low valleys, and vice versa, helicopter sniping. It's all of the things that get me to the point where I'm taking the shot. And there are plenty of schools that do this. And I believe Shep has done it at one point or another, but basic precision rifle from Precision Applications is a learning the shot class. Like I said, I highly recommend this course, especially if you're in the Southeast. This is Levi with Ham Repair. Christ is King, sell your cloak.